can get started. Yep. First off, I'd like to thank every one of you in joining me in this workshop today. So we are recording this session so it can be shared online later. I'd like to start off with one of my favorite quotes from Brian, which really signifies the importance of sharpening the saw or our skill sets. So I think it's pretty crucial in, crucial for our success in any field in today's changing world. So yeah, let me give you a brief of my profile and how I got interested in customer success domain. So my career started in engineering with building software for enterprise apps. And then I focused on integration and analytics of data which is generated from different software systems, so like sales systems, support, HR. So as I was helping these teams, I noticed this customer success being the customer success and the team being pivotal in connecting many teams, and as well using the data combined from various of these enterprise systems. So I think it's much needed for the company, for other departments to have a full picture of the customer and their journey. So then I started to technically help customer success leaders, CSMs, and understand like their workflows and their pain points. So I gained more interest in this domain, and as well saw its rapid growth in the past few years. As you know, like with the surge of SaaS, so the post-sales and the customer engagement and relations are much more important, which customer success is responsible for. So now I'm continuing to identify these gaps and see how I can help the community. So as I talked with over like 50 plus customer success professionals, I noticed a few patterns and common pain points of CSMs and CS leaders in their job routine, particular to data. Some of which I think it could be addressed with a little assistance in technology to improve daily productivity of CSMs. So one such case is gathering of data and aggregating them from different systems, which has been referred by CSMs, right? And having a systematic way or a routine to prepare KPIs to get unified view of customers at any given point. So before I really jump into details, so there are several people in the webinar, and to make it like more personal, I'm thinking to call on like few people to like briefly introduce themselves in a short 30 seconds and share like why they decided to join. So like it would help me personalize the rest of the contents for you. So if anyone wants to go, like maybe Emily, I'd like to know a few words on your profile. Or Remy, if you'd like to share a bit of about yourself.
Yeah, happy to do so. Hi, Arish. Thanks for hosting this. My name is Remy. I am the lead customer success ops person at Feedly. We're a SaaS product that allows these days mostly enterprise and business use cases to create a better newsfeed. I came into the webinar because we're at a place where I've been with Feedly for the past 8 years, growing through the different milestones of us ramping up from consumer app to B2B and now enterprise product. Obviously, along the way, a lot of questions around how we better do sales, how we put that engine in place. Nowadays, I'm more focused on the customer success side of things. What we refer to as our enterprise pool of customers are mostly white glove types of customers. So there's a lot of manual process for us just to go and analyze those accounts. I spent my life between, we still use HubSpot for our CRM. So I just do a lot of HubSpot to Google Sheets via Zapier to automate a bunch of stuff. Look at it, that sounds familiar probably to folks around the table, but yeah, I feel like a lot of my life is still trying to both work from being in the trenches and doing the CS heavy lifting. We've got 2 other people on the team doing this, but I'm the most senior and the lead on that. And at the same time, what I'm trying to do is put in place scalable operations that can give us the right insights and right pieces of data. So I've been impressed by a lot of stuff you posted, I think, in the Slack community as well, and that's what brought me here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Remy. Yeah, that was yeah, pretty impressive, the things which you already are doing with Zapier, and yeah.
It's very hacky, but some of it works.
I know. So yeah, thank you again. And anyone else would like to go?
Hi, I'm Varsha Tiger. I work for Content Square, and I'm part of the customer success org, but I'm not a success manager. I'm a solutions expert, so I hold training on onboarding sessions for new clients. We work very closely with the success managers, and our KPIs for the year, like individual KPIs for, performance in our role, are somewhat shared. So it's good to know the measure of success for the client, so that we can work together more efficiently. Thanks, Harish. I appreciate the invite.
Sure thing. Yeah, probably. Yeah, thanks, Varsha. Thanks for having you here. So I think for this today's session, we consider a scenario of customer success team in a SaaS company called Acme, which has about 400 people or so. And David is one of the CSMs there and has about 70 books of business. So his customers are segmented by revenue, by high value, high touch customers, and then he has about 8 of them, and rest are long tail, which he does low touch or as need basis. So going to the customer data, which is very important for daily operations, we can try to see how a typical day looks like for David. So engaging with an account for either business reviews, during upsell or renewals, or handling any escalations is major part of his workday. So for this, he primarily refers to the customer data, which is residing at different locations. So as some of you have already told, so primarily it is the CRM data, which contains the customer contacts and deal information. And then we have Zendesk, which is used for support tickets, Zendesk or Intercom, where all the customer calls, emails, chats are stored, and as well the bug type, the escalation time, resolution times are stored here. And then usually the product data, such as how's the adoption, the active number of users, which is collected from the application itself, is it's being referred. And other systems David refers are feedback surveys, and also community forums and question and answers. So one of the primary functions of CSM is that, as we covered, is to know a full picture of his account at any given day. So evaluating customer health is one of his major pain points. So for the KPI of any one or all customers, he usually checks multiple systems and manually downloads them as CSV files for each of them and puts together in a spreadsheet. So he does mapping of these accounts, their details, and performs like calculations on them to derive at individual KPIs like health score or retention score. So these metrics. So yeah, just a quick check here. Like I think Remy as well mentioned, like does this like flow look like familiar? Like some of you do you already measure a customer score? You can just give a thumbs up. So just to get a quick check. Or if you have something very different setup, we can discuss that as well. Okay. So yeah, probably we can try to see the account health, like the health scoring system itself. So there are different methodologies here to score customer health. Like the different schemes to score, as well as which parameters are included, like what are the prediction factors which are included to gauge customer health. So like one simple scheme here is to consider weights or this percentage scale, which is based on input factors. Yeah, so which is to consider the prediction factors, like adoption rate is one of it, and then assign what's the weights for it, right? So feature usage, which all comes from application. And like the operational metrics, such as how's the number of bugs reported, what's the type of support tickets, as well, the feedback and the NPS scores can be included in the calculation. So once we put this into an equation, then the next thing is how to get the output, right? So on the outputs, it could be an easy look into the color coding, such as a very plain and simple, like are the customers doing well, or it's something we had to take a notice on and be cautious on, or it is very bad and it requires an immediate action. So it is simple and effective. It's easy to interpret across the board, like for other departments as well. So a little more involved here is this alphabetical scale, which is based on a band of scores. Like the same equation which we have, it could be like scored differently, like A to F, right? So and then there is a more granular way of doing this, which is by ranking. I think for this case of David, let's consider the percentage scale, and let's start with looking at how Acme's systems are set up. HubSpot is where the information of customers are stored, primarily at the company level. Fields such as the products sold, what's the number of licenses, the ARR, and the renewal dates, the CRM assigned, they're stored here. So as most of you know, like CRMs act like a single source of truth for deal information, company, and contacts. So then we have Zendesk accounts. So over here, like the support tickets and status and type of the tickets are categorized. So David usually like runs reports on them, and then tries to see the details. So over here, say for example, one can see like the category of the problem, what's the priority of them, what was being the nature of the ticket. So that will get a sense of how the customers are having the operational relation with the company. So finally, it is like, as many of the CSMs use, like David maintains a spreadsheet for his book of businesses. So here, the details such as the segments of customers, like either it is categorized in tiers, like platinum, gold, diamond, silver, and which stage they are in, like as in a customer journey, are they in the onboarding stage, are they in implementation, or they're more in adoption. So all these are being categorized here. So many times what happens is the information from CRM is exported, and CSM would have their own category put in over here. So as David syncs up with customers, so he would put notes in what's the last sync up date, when was the last survey sent. And over here are the product metrics, right? Like the one which he gets from application. So that is being put under. So, so this is for the month of September. What is the product adoption for, say, last month? For the August, he is trying to put together and get a health score. The usage percentage and what are the open issues. So he can as well add the NPS score for it. So what happens is, like once these informations are put together for every month, so David downloads the information, the latest information from HubSpot and then Zendesk into the CSV file and stored as new tabs. So here they are mapped together, right? So all the either by company IDs, and the corresponding ticket support. So they are mapped together either by the ID or account name, and then they are put in the health score field by using the formula. I think by going into the percentage scale, so one can see how to rate the health score. So here it's a simple scheme, like the 3 grade scheme. Are they doing good, or something to be cautious on, or needs immediate attention? So like that, here is the health scoring. So just I'd like to take a pause here and like to know how many of you have something similar to this or something different.
I don't want to be the only one speaking, so.
Sure. Oh, please go ahead, Remy.
No, this is super relevant, and it's actually, for me, it's one of the reasons why I came. This was super timely because I'm working on rebuilding our customer success dashboard, and that notion of calculating the health score and how do you create an index. I feel like I went down a rabbit hole of making it way too complex and trying to take into account certain types of activation metrics. My takeaways from this is also, I hadn't realized, I'm happy to at some point also kind of share what we're doing and have a sanity check by folks around the table as to what I might be missing. No, this resonates a lot. One of my takeaways is also to try to capture this book of business and use, just create a new tab every month or every quarter to measure the progression, which is not something I had taken into account. So that's very valuable.
I see. Yeah, sure. So yeah, every month or would you be doing like separate sheets for every quarter, something like that, or more like since it's white glove, so on demand, like during any business reviews, you will try to put it.
I think for us specifically, because we're still in a phase where we're building the department and trying to figure out what's the best way for us to do this white glove handling of customers, there's value in doing it every month. And also because we're catching up in a way. I've jumped into this role coming from more of the sales side. So in a way, I'm I've got to catch up with a book of business of about 120 plus teams.
Mhm.
And even just measuring how much progress I'm able to make month by month, I think is a good way for me to build a reporting to the rest of the team to say, hey,
I see.
now we've just started to measure NPS on this pool of users. This is our NPS for September across the teams that we have gotten an NPS from. Here's how it evolves over time.
Got it. Yeah. So to get a trend type of
Yeah.
analysis.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh, that's very useful, Remy. Yeah. Yeah. Good to know. So yeah, just to move on then. So say as a next step, so what I'm going to show is like with help of a few tools that's like easy to use and with simple techniques, how you can automate the process of this data extraction and calculation of customer success KPIs. I think at the very high level, it is like uh, it looks something like this, where like we pull the data from the systems on the left side, like HubSpot, Zendesk, or any of the other systems, right? It could be a Pendo system, or it could be a survey system. So how we can pull this data together into one place using out of the box tools, and then store them in in a lightweight like database or data store, and perform this calculation and push this score back into the HubSpot itself. So one can see all the data at one place, or into the Google Sheet, like at a regular cadence. So this is one approach which I experimented with. Let me just show this in action. So the tool I considered here is called Rudder Stack. So it's a free tool. So all the actions here are browser based and clicks. So this is primarily used to pull the data in and out of the systems. So at the beginning, it has this the tab called sources, wherein CSMs or David in this case can provide what systems or sources he need to refer to. So it is a matter of like adding the new system, like going to the setting and then providing what the HubSpot credential is. For example, in this case, just provided what is my user ID, and then it gets automatically connected. Then the next step is to say like what fields I would like to get from here, just like how we pull from CSV files. So I would like to know about the deal information or contacts or company information. We just click and then it gets imported. I think same is for like Zendesk as well. I can provide that information, and then same thing with the spreadsheet. So after we have all the sources connected, the next is where to put the data to. So here is one like a lightweight data store which I used. It's called Snowflake. So here we put the configuration detail again, like and then we would be adding the sources, basically to connect source to destination. So we use the existing source and then say like, hey, connect these three sources. So that way, as the data comes in, it gets connected and goes to the destination. And lastly is the transformation. I think this where we provide the logic, the logic in the sense like what the health score techniques which we used here. So like percentage scale or any of these calculations, we just provide the same calculation back in here. So that way, as the data comes in, we do the calculation and we push the data out. So that's at the high level. And And then lastly, we have an action, which is like what action to take on the destination. So here is where here is where we say like, hey, as you get the health score, put that into the destination of HubSpot, and then add it as a new field, like health score, and do it like every 12 hours, or do it every week. So all of this type of logic can be provided here. Say once this is all set up, what happens is back in the HubSpot, we get this connected data, such as the health score, which we calculated by taking into account all the Zendesk details, the product details. They get automatically calculated, and in HubSpot now we can see that as health score for each of these accounts. So that way it is like a scalable, right? Like we do for we provide the logic, and then upon every like every day or every week, this gets refreshed. So that is that is at the high level for HubSpot. Say for example, we don't have like access, like a right access to HubSpot, or we would like to continue to use spreadsheet. What we can do? So in this case, all we had to do is like provide the destination as spreadsheet itself. So say that instead of pushing HubSpot, push the consolidated or the aggregated health score back to a spreadsheet. So in this case, all the KPIs gets pushed back. So this is where the thing happens. So as we say, like give me all the metrics of bugs, the adoption metrics, and the usage metrics. All of that, it gets auto-populated for this case of spreadsheet. So from RudderStack directly, it comes and get placed into spreadsheet, wherein we can do the same calculation. So here, I have used a little more advanced way of calculating, which takes into account like engagement and some other metrics, and did this for just one customer, like Instacart. Say if, once I run the integration, so what happens is the data from the Instacart for the month of September, it gets pulled in from all the input systems, and then we get the numbers as in like here, row 5 and 6. And we do the same calculation for health score population, like use the formula and then get the health score. So these are like two ways we can try to automate the system. One is use the backend as the RudderStack. So over here, so what happens is we get all this 3 data in, and then push it to HubSpot, or push it back to spreadsheet. So so I'd like to just take a moment, and then just to know how like what do you guys think about the steps in here? Like, is it something doable by CSM on their own, or like they need or you think you would need some help from ops or engineers to realize this?
I'll jump in again.
Sure.
Also because I have two questions for you, but as to I can only speak for my use case. I don't see a CSM at least at the level of CSM and technical capabilities that we have doing this. So I would be jumping in to do this, but as a non-technical but fairly savvy user, I would feel confident playing around with this. So in my head, I'm already making a list of follow-up questions to reach out to you directly with Harish for some coaching. But and my question was going to be, I get your different metrics, and the way your formula, if you just scroll back up on your sheet for a second, and the way you calculate your your health metric. What do you bugs make sense? Adoption, I'm imagining, is a measure of features. Usage is a measure of weekly or monthly activity. Support your tickets. How do you measure? What's your measurement for engagement and financial in this formula?
Yeah. So here, so one way I do is like, so take the aggregated
Okay.
measure for, say, the referrals. So and the case study or testimonials they have written, right?
Okay.
And then say they provided few of the references, or say like this webinar, they attended some of the webinars, and then we'll score it. Say I have like say 500 users, so some percentage of them attended, so score it, right? Say if it is in 20%, then score it 10.
Yeah.
So if it is above 40, that type of grading scheme.
Okay.
And I mean, I did a much simplified version, just took the sum of it all and then assigned a weight. Like over here, I assigned it like 5.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and financial, I think it was a little, it depends, like, are they on time or did we discount them? So they are in here. So that type of grading. Okay. So again, say for example, you think it's not that relevant, so one can just make it into like multiply by 1, something like that.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
It feels like a high bar for engagement. When you're saying case study and testimonial or referrals, it's
true. Yeah, I think so too. I think for the case of the demonstration, I kind of elaborated.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So
I'm glad to hear not everyone on the table gets case studies from every single one of your customers, but I appreciate the demo sense of things.
Sure. Yeah, I think, say as most of the companies, right? Either one could be just kept in, either like say we are doing more on the webinar side, or say there is a Slack community, say how much engagement we have per every week, how many questions are being asked. So that could be one metrics for engagement. So just one instead of 4. It makes it much simpler. Well, yeah, good question, Remy. Yeah, thanks. So just say we have all of this automated, right? So the rest is like how we can make it in sync, like how we can put it into a regular cadence. So one way to do that is like in going back to this rudder stack, put that in a regular cadence. Say like we want this to be refreshed every month or every week, or sometimes on demand, or sometimes we can say like, hey, I want data only from say Zendesk to be refreshed every day, but the CRM, it fairly remains unchanged, so let me do per a month. So this type of schemes can be figured out. So as well, some additional connections can be as well put in here, as I was trying to say, like you use say survey systems like Delighted or Simple Surveys or Survey Monkey. So that can be put in as well and made this type of connection. So yeah, so that's on the automation part. I'd like to just talk a little bit on this process itself, right? So as you see, one thinking is like this approach. With this approach, David can handle like more accounts into his book of business at very less effort and time. And as well, these KPIs can be referred on demand, or it could be at regular cadence and pushed back to customers. Sometimes like the customers can be given a consolidated report to say like, hey, this was your engagement or this was your usage for the last quarter. So that type of like automated business reviews can be thought of. So as well, we can add a little bit on notification side. Say if David wants to be notified when customer health falls under certain score, right? If it turns red, so David can be notified, so he can take proactive steps to identify the cause and then act on resolution. So let's talk about how much effort and time it takes. So for this whole setup, right? Like connections and also calculations. So it took me around 4 to 6 hours of work for building the pipeline. So I think identifying the necessary fields to map across the system was important. And also knowing and familiarizing the tool, like this, in this case, Redder Stack, to make the connection was as well as well took some amount of work. And then like defining the logic or the formula for health score. As you know, it could vary by company, like by line of business or industry, and we can get more complicated or simplify it. So the amount of work over there could as well vary upon that. And finally, it is with the access to the systems, like the API keys, the read-write permission of data fields. So few strategies can be worked out here, such as like say CRM, one has only read access. So just we keep reading and put that into a place where we have write access. Or it could be like only batches, right? Like every month we can get and then try to do the same operations. So this type of schemes can be worked out, and it takes varied amount of effort. So I think just thinking a little bit on the customer success and how it's trending in future. So I'd like to just collect some thoughts and then see how customer success professionals can leverage this technology to boost their productivity and also can stay ahead in the curve. So first one is like to focus more on strategic initiatives. So one need to automate their tactical and operational works. So sometimes on their own or with help of some little technical help. May it be like in pooled CSM model, wherein like it would be the CSM skips a pool of customers and then will handle it, or in high touch or hybrid models. It always helps to avoid these repetitive tasks and also to scale the accounts being handled. So the next is like to keep in touch with this best practices in customer success and having a knowledge base, like keeping its content updated and shareable and also shareable is very vital. So this is something I'm actively working on. Like so following this discussion with CS leaders, I have compiled playbooks for customer journey mapping, and customer engagement like RACI styled matrix, and also on different customer models. So these playbooks and templates are much important, I would say, and I'm happy to share with you these playbooks for customer success industry. So lastly, is like if you'd like to get your hands on with this new process and workflows, happy to chat with you to explore more. How you can leverage these tools and then how to get things done in an effective way. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me after the session. I'm happy to chat and give a technical help for 15 minutes.